Going Diane from Keswick Village. This is the Rorschach Arctic Update from the 4th of March 2025, a summary of what's going down north of the Arctic Circle. Let's kick the week's stories off with Greenland, the largest island in the world and an unexpected source of international interest in recent months due to US President Trump's calls to take control of it. The country is due to hold its national election on the 11th of March, but the international intrigue may be having negative consequences. On Friday, the 28th of February, the Danish Security of Intelligence Service announced that election misinformation is spreading in Greenland in an attempt to manipulate the democratic process. The service didn't name a source of the misinformation, but noted that Russia has previously influenced elections in the Arctic. The security service advised voters to be cautious and to rely on trustworthy sources to avoid being misled by misinformation circulating online. While President Trump eyes Greenland, his own Arctic territory is facing problems. On Tuesday, the 25th of February, the State Finance Division released its economic projections for Alaska, revealing that the state will face an over $500 million deficit over the next 2 years. State senators released a series of emergency measures to raise revenues the following day, including one that would substantially increase taxes on oil companies. The measures are predicted to raise over $500 million per year. However, Kara Moretti, the CEO of the Alaska Oil and Gas Association, responded to the tax increase by saying that the oil industry has been the only bright spot in Alaska's faltering economy recently, and that these economic measures will stunt the growth of new oil and gas projects. Another nation making difficult economic decisions is Sweden. On Friday, the 28th of February, the Swedish Maritime Association published a press release announcing a series of major cutbacks over the next year. The Maritime Association manages the shipping lanes around Sweden, but last year posted a loss of over $50 million and is projected to make losses of about $70 million this year. To reduce financial losses, one of Sweden's 5 icebreakers and 2 of the 5 helicopter bases for sea and air rescue are being closed. Shipping accounts for 90% of Swedish trade, especially in the remote northern regions. Shipping industry representatives have responded with dismay, saying that cuts will have a direct impact on the Swedish industry in the north and the many communities that depend on it. However, there's hope in Canada. On Thursday, the 28th of February, the Canadian federal government signed almost $200 million agreement in the Inuit-led efforts in Canada's Arctic territory of Nunavut. The historic milestone will fund widespread conservation projects run by Inuit companies to protect islands, waters, and wildlife and expand marine protected areas along the east coast, all while funding Inuit fishing communities to continue sustainably fishing in their territory. Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, called this funding a statement of Canada's commitment to walking the path toward Indigenous reconciliation as lands and rights are returned to those who were stripped of them long ago. Of Nunavut, on Thursday, the 27th of February, the federal government formally apologized for the forced relocations of Inuit families from their ancestral homes on Baffin Island to an abandoned settlement of Dundas Harbor, Nunavut in the 1930s and 1940s. The relocations meant to assert Canadian sovereignty left families struggling in extreme conditions with little support. Many suffered from starvation and diseases before being forced to move again. Inuit leaders called the apology long overdue, emphasizing the profound harm caused by decades of government policies. The federal government pledged continued reconciliation efforts, but survivors and their descendants say true justice requires concrete action. On Thursday, the Norwegian oil company Vår Energy announced it had discovered a new oil well in the Goliat Ridge in Barents Sea in far northern Norway. The company believes there are over 40 million oil barrels available in this newest well, but Vår Energy has spent years exploring the Goliat Ridge, and the total oil potential of all the wells discovered so far is estimated to be over 200 million barrels. Fossil fuels are not the only things on the rise in Norway. as forests are also increasing. On Thursday, the 27th of February, the Norwegian Directorate of Agriculture published a report on the annual forest planting activity across Norway over the last 20 years. In 2024, almost 50 million trees were planted at a cost of over $30 million US, the largest investment in forest growth since 1995. The directorate noted the focus on tree planting is increasing carbon sequestration in forests and reducing the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Following the historic low in 2005 when below 20 million trees were planted, Norway's forests are back to growing steadily. Another kind of plant growth is taking place in far northern Norway. Dr. Elena Jubileiro, the chief executive of the Center of International Forestry Research, said on Tuesday, the 25th of February, that she has delivered a huge new batch of seeds to the Global Seed Vault, the world's safeguard for preserving crop diversity in the event of disaster, located within the Arctic islands of Svalbard. Dr. Jubileiro brought over 100,000 seeds from over 170 African plants and trees to the vault, including 5 brand new species to the seed bank. With Africa facing climate disasters regularly, the Arctic Vault holds the keys to recovery and hope. Svalbard is full of new surprises. On International Polar Bear Day, Thursday, the 27th of February, researchers from the Norwegian Polar Institute revealed the first detailed look at polar bear cubs emerging from their dens. Polar bear mothers are incredibly secretive about their den locations, building them underneath the snow with just a small hole for ventilation. This makes observing maternal behavior almost impossible, but a decade of remote cameras placed around Svalbard has finally captured the rare event of young cubs emerging into the world for the first time. The Polar Institute hopes video studies like this one can help us to better understand how to protect this elusive species. To see this beautiful video for yourself, take a look at the link in the show notes. Another famous Arctic animal, the narwhal, has been seen doing something for the first time. Little was known about narwhals, or their unicorn-like husk until now. On Friday, the 28th of February, researchers from Canada's Department of Fisheries, working with local Inuit communities, published research detailing the evidence of exactly how the narwhal tusk is used. Using camera drones, 17 distinct behaviors have been recorded. The whales were seen using their elongated tooth to hunt, play, communicate, feel, fight, and more. Narwhals were once thought to only use their tusk to fight, but we've learned that the unicorns of the sea use them for so much more. Another incredible nature discovery has been made in northern Finland. The Finnish University of Turku announced on Thursday, the 27th of February, that they have discovered the world's oldest shrub in Utsjoki in Finnish Lapland. The shrub is a juniper that has been determined to be almost 1,650 years old. According to researchers, the juniper began growing in 260 and died in 1906. It was aged by counting its growth rings. Let's close this edition in Iceland, where life beneath the volcano is returning to normal. The residents of southern town in Grindavik have had a constant evacuations and property damage due to the Sjunkavur volcano's repeated eruptions. But without an eruption since November, on Tuesday, the 25th of February, Fernard Johnson, the mayor of Grindavik, announced that municipal facilities will reopen in March and employees will return to daily life in town. Johnson did note that there's still a chance of another eruption soon, but the town needs to gradually return to normal and be ready to evacuate if the volcano erupts again. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. But don't worry, subscribing to the Rorschach Arctic Update is absolutely free. By subscribing, you can help us grow and keep making the updates that you love. Listen to our updates on your favorite podcast platforms. Favi!